Okay, folks, welcome back. You're convinced you cleared out Noble Knight of Plastic Soldier Company. No, I only got 4 or 5 things. It wasn't that much stuff. They don't have a huge selection of 1/72nd scale stuff, so I put a dent on it. But no, there's still plenty. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I did was when I knew I was getting the credit, I was went ahead and put a bunch of things in my cart and figure, well, I can always dial them back. Why is this thing being all limp dickish? I could always dial it back, and I figured, well, let's see what I got here. This is about all the stuff I'm interested in, and it was like, and I still kind of left things off, and it was like $700 freaking dollars, something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna have to not be able to pick everything. What the hell happened to my palette? So over the weekend, I'm not using this as much as I normally am used to because I am doing buildings. So I don't need this for the buildings, and this goes right. So it was developing some mold. So what I decided is, instead of trying to close this and salvage itty bits of paint, I went ahead and I'm going to let it air dry, and that way we don't have any mold buildup. And this is what you have. And besides, it gives me the opportunity of showing you guys how this behaves when you put some water on it. I've got this big jug of distilled water, and we're going to hopefully not make a mess. If I do make a mess, it is water. And it expands. I think this is the better thing than having to deal with freaking mold. And not that I'm worried about it by any health reasons, because it's not that much mold, but it's annoying to pick it up and then you've got that smell. That's about how wet I like it. These things are supposedly reusable. You can supposedly wash this stuff off and reuse them. I haven't tried that yet. Maybe I'll try that one day if I remember to do it. This should be able to work pretty decent. You're allergic to mold. Okay. Yeah, but I don't think I cleaned them out. I don't think I cleaned them out that badly. I'm glad you were impressed. As a matter of fact, first of all, the only thing bad about the experience, the only thing bad is I think they're really busy and they take a long time to get to you. So sometimes it'll be like 3 or 4 days before they get back out to you. So, and then there was some back and forth and stuff they told me how much the credit is. I'm like, well, can you tell me how much each item is? Because I may not want to give you something if I only get 50 cents for it. I ended up sending them everything anyways. So, everything was fine as long as you're not in a hurry. If you're in a hurry, forget it. You need to just get it for somebody else. But the experience was so good that I've already sent them another list. And I'm actually going to sell them some stuff that I didn't think I was going to get rid of. Well, let me see how much they're going to give me for it. But I have a set of skirmish rules for Modern called Force on Force. And I think they're worth quite a bit of money because they've been out of print for like 10 years. So I'll see what they give them for me. If they're going to give me like $8 for it, I'll probably keep them. But, hopefully they get back to me pretty soon, because I may order something from AB while they have that sale of free shipping, if they give me enough stuff for it to go with it. I may get some British tank crews if they give me enough stuff to give me British tanks. So, waiting on the shipping label to send in. Yeah, it took them a long time to get the shipping label. It was okay, but it's just one of those things like, okay, why is it taking 2 days? And then I get the shipping label. I'm like, frick, I don't have any boxes. So then I had to wait a couple days for the boxes. So it wasn't a bad experience. Like I said, they told me the stuff I was going to send them was going to be $150. I'm like, all right, I can deal with that. Sent it to them. The next thing I know is, never mind, we decided to give you $200. Yeah, because you saw that the stuff that I had is like pristine. I'm not going to sell you crap. A lot of other people have, crap. But I think I'm going to get rid of the Wings of War. That's what I sent them. All the wing. I have the whole set of the little airplanes, and that and the Force on Force. And I don't know how much that'll bring in, but I wouldn't do all of this for just a little bit of money because it's a little bit of a hassle. Okay, so we've got these guys that have been sitting in this water. So let me see if I can get some of this paint off with the. This will reactivate actually if I put this on here. Let me use the back side of this. This should be safe to use the back side of that. It absorbs a little bit, but oh, wrong thing. That definitely will not work. That's the stuff I need for my skin, so I don't turn into a leper. Okay. If you hear any background noise, you're just going to have to ignore it because there's other people here. So, it won't be any tomorrow. We will definitely have a painting session tomorrow. There won't be. See, look, took all that paint off. And I probably could get even more. Incredible. Like this is, well, it got wet, so it wasn't, but it was originally, it was like hard. Step away 20 minutes, you'll be back. I should be on. We'll definitely do some painting. I'm not going to break into the new items that I got until I finish some stuff up. I don't want to get spread too thin. But when I go back to it, I'm probably going to do the anti-tank guns first. That's probably what I'm going to do. So far it's been my most popular video. I don't know why, but okay. That works. Considering it's all 1/72 scale stuff, but it's gotten the most viewers in the same amount of time, so much appreciated. I like doing unboxings. There's no point in opening a package without showing everybody opening a package because I like seeing other people's unboxings. I think it's cool. You know, I've got something that I ordered for my birthday, which is coming up in a few days, and something I've been wanting for a while. I've been kind of wanting for a while, and it's the time to go ahead and do it now. So I'm probably going to do an unboxing on it as well. It is a tool, not something I would normally do. So we need to get a. Where's my background? It probably has green paint on it. Is that this one? No, this one's pristine. We'll leave that one alone. It's got to be this one. Is it this one that fell down? Yeah, there we go. One question, Historicon 2023? Absolutely not. It's the only one I haven't gone to. I went in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, the pandemic, they didn't have it in 2020. In 2021, they moved it to November and they mandated masks, double whammy. Actually, just moving it to November means I'm not going. I went last year, and I'm not going this year. I'm not going this year because we were supposed to go on a European cruise, which, by the way, got nerfed. But we're going to do something. We're going to go out of the country. So, just using the big... Just don't feel it. Just don't feel like going to it this year. You know? I don't want to go if I don't stay at the hotel. I've stayed off-site. It's a pain in the ass. Stay at the hotel. It's awesome. Yes, it's pricey, but, you know, split the thing. Mitch still kind of wanted to go. I'm not going to go to Historicon ever again and run something. You're going the first time since 1993. So it's like you and Batman. You both can't be in the same place at the same time. I'll probably go to Historicon again, but I definitely will not go and run anything. I'm just going to go and hang out, do videos, play some demos, which is what I should have done last year. I would have wanted to play the demo of a game called Sergeants. Although I could say that I played it and I probably wouldn't like it, because that's odds are if it's a World War II game, I'm probably, unless it's this, I'm probably not going to like it. You're just being difficult. No, I just know what I like. I've played lots of games I don't like. So a couple things that we need to do here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't stick these wheels on here, because it's going to make it, the running gear, it's going to make it easier to paint what I'm going to do next. And you know, I'm going to pop them on and off. We're going to do the tracks with them on there. It speeds everything up if I don't have to put the tracks on. You know, what's the big draw for Go to Historicon for me? Shop? No, I don't need to shop. You know, I'm still on a quest looking for a good, what do you call that? Playmat. I may end up just making my own, but it's not really a priority. It's not really keeping me from doing anything. Okay, so we got these little guys stuck in there, and let's go ahead. The next stage is we've already we have dry brushed it back with this green. We have added some of the sand color onto it and dry brushed it. Now we're going to get the wet palette out, add some of this green and the sand, and pinpoint things that we need that need extra highlighting. Then after that point, I'll do the tracks and do the markings. And then after that, then we do the weathering. So, and then it should be done. So, you get some of this green here and get some of this dark sand. Yeah, so not going to Historicon this year. It just uses too many days off. It uses up 4 days for me, and I don't get very many days off. I don't, even though I've almost been to the place where I work at 30 years. I've been maxed out for 10 years on days off. So, let's use this one. And worse than taking days off, it's a pain in the ass to do all the work before you leave and then have to fix everything. Yeah, you want me now to go to Historicon for sure and move it to November. That's the worst month it could possibly be for me to be able to attempt to go. All right, let's take this turret off so it's easier to work with. You know what? Before I do this, we gotta do the Nuln Oil. It's been a while since I've done a vehicle, and it's been about a month or so. Let's get the Nuln Oil and pick out some things that are gonna be really, really dark. Like exhausty things. All right, so I want the stuff around here. Yeah, you want to do this before you highlight, because I might want to highlight stuff that's on top of this. Maybe a little bit here. it there. I tell you what, I go to Historicon and it pisses me off when I hear stuff like, I can't go, it's too far away, it's 3 hours away. I'm like, you pussy. You know, we're driving like 14 hours away and we don't complain about it. Nightmare Night 2. Nightmare Night too hot to paint. Lost 2 textured rollers. Phone stopped working. Car vacuum wouldn't charge. What the hell? Then after fixing phone, kept getting text spam from Bradford College. 2 textured rollers. Oh, you got one of those rollers that you roll on stuff? You lost 2 of them. Too hot to paint. You paint in like a garage or something? I wouldn't paint if I had to paint in a garage. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Will not paint under heat. I come home and it's like, I'm not dealing with heat anymore. I deal with heat all the time at work, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm sure as hell not dealing with it at home. That's unacceptable. Found them eventually. What material are you rolling them on? Like green stuff or? I know what you're talking about. Those things look really cool. So like the ones that are made by like Green Stuff Worlds, right? "4 hours for me. I have animals, so it's hard to be away for too long." Well, you could always eat them. Well, it depends on the animals, right? 4 hours is nothing. Not for that long of a convention. That's a long convention. It's a convention so long that I'm like ready to leave. When it's over, I'm ready to get back to the. Gonna try caulk. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready to go back to the real world. Well, I'm not ready to go back to work. I'm ready to just, go back to, some kind of schedule. I'm definitely a fan of routine. That's too many days of me not painting. Yeah, I didn't grow up with any pets, but I grew up with a pair of grandmothers that lived with us, and they kept us from doing everything. So I don't ever see having animals or something that keeps me from traveling and stuff. I mean, I don't travel that much, but yeah, I know what you're coming from. I don't want that in my life. Okay. What else needs some extra attention? I mean, we're just gonna end up dry brushing over this and covering half of it anyways, but. And I really don't know what the hell these little other periscopes. There's a lot of them. So I decided to make both of these without the additional armor on them. That way I can switch them from one kind to the other and not between their KV1s and KV2s and not feel bad about it. Because the KV2s never had from what I can tell, any additional armor on the front hull. So they're going to look out of place if they do that. You know, if nobody would have told me, if I would have looked into it, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. But now that you know, it's like, nah, I can't do it now. You know, it drives me bonkers. You know, it's one thing if you have a model and you know it's inaccurate, but it's the model you have. But there's a way to build this one accurately. Let's do that. Let's not just play dumb. Do you have MSHAs? I don't know what that is. I didn't grow up with any. We had fish for a little bit, and you know, they died. Well, they actually had like a snail. We got a couple snails, and they took over the whole damn thing, and all the fish died. MSHAs. Russians for M4s. And I have no intention of ever having any. I have no intentions of building any Lend-Lease Russian stuff. For a couple of reasons. The main one being that the Russians produce so much stuff themselves that there would be a really low percentage chance of encountering one. They produce so many T-34s that the fact that you're going to run into an M4 is like really unlikely. I just don't like how they. I just don't like how they look. I just don't like the. Yeah, there's a couple things I'm just not going to build, and that's one of them. I'm not going to build any, Czech Legion T-34 units or whatever, or Polish Liberation T-34s. Polish Liberation meaning they're the Soviets, and they're like, hey, why don't you join this army and we'll help liberate your land? And of course, when they won World War II, they just imprisoned them. So I'm not doing that. Just a couple of things that just don't interest me. And Lend-Lease equipment, I could probably do some Studebaker trucks and be okay with it. But Lees, Churchills, Honeys, nah. I got to have a lot of Shermans for my Allied forces to even consider giving the Russians any of them. MSHAs. No, I didn't know they were called that. There's one thing. It's one thing to be a bad guy, a bad country. It's another thing to tell you they're doing you a favor, and then they rape you. And my dad came from a country that was taken over by Soviets, so not exactly I don't have a problem playing Soviets. I don't think they're any worse or better than the Germans. That's why I like the Eastern Front. But I don't like them, having these pretend units that they're supposedly doing some good to Poland when they show up, and they're not. M4A2s, same as their U.S. Marines got. Yep. Yeah, they got some really late. I saw an article recently where they had found some M4s that had capsized off of a ship or something like that. And I saw a picture of them, and I'm like, that's like, I don't know that they had Easy 8 suspension, but they definitely had 76 millimeter guns with muzzle brakes on them. I'm like, those are really late Shermans. You know, those are like late 1944 vintage Shermans. Why are the U.S. sending them Shermans in late 44? There's like no lack of Russian equipment. And sure enough, it was like March 1945 or something like that. I saw it a couple months ago. You know, because the Lend-Lease armored vehicles, yeah, the Soviets could use them in 41 and 42. Once 43 started going, they were cranking so much shit out that it was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of time. And you know, they're in separate units, so I wouldn't be able to use them with the other vehicles. It just doesn't appeal to me. And if I had that attitude, that's one thing less I have to do. I'm not worried about dark spots on the running gear. I kind of avoided some of that stuff. I think we're okay there. Let's pick out some points on the roof. This is how I've done all the other vehicles. And some of the ones that I think have turned out the best is actually the Soviet ones. Because a lot of people are like, ah, it's Soviet, just paint it green and move on. Like, come on, man. Can't do that. And if the Historicon moves back to to the host, I'll never go again. I'm not going to the host again. That place is a shit show. That is like the perfect example of you can't polish a turd. You know? Can't polish a turd without getting shit all over yourself. It's bad. 2018 when I went back for went back to Lancaster to the host for 1 year because they were turning the place in Fredericksburg into a casino. I guess there's money in casinos. Well, they must not be people like me because they don't make shit on me for gambling. I just don't gamble. I'm not interested. I've got the wrong personality type for it. Or I have the right personality type not to gamble. But, yeah, that was a shit show in 2018. It was half under demolition and it looked like Stalingrad, except it wasn't covered in Soviets and Nazis. You know, I say it all the time. I don't think that the Soviets are any worse than the Germans. Well, you know, it depends on how you look at things. It depends on where you fit in the whole thing. I mean, they're both evil as shit. It's a good thing that the Germans didn't win because the Soviets winning on the winning side. We see how that turned out, and the world didn't end. So I guess that's a good thing. But they both suck. Um, and I came across a couple of posts that have really kind of like surprised me. Because there's a big difference between like I don't want to build like any German aircraft. Like I said, let's say I'm building German aircraft from World War II. I don't want to build any of them that don't have a swastika on it if they're supposed to have one. Like I'm going to put that on there. It's part of the decal, okay? I don't like those crooked spider people, but that's what's on the freaking plane, right? You either make the plane realistic or you don't. And I say all the time, that the Soviets are just as bad as the Germans. I really believe that. But I came across some stuff, and it wasn't even on a weird site. I think it was even on Facebook, where people were like praising certain German generals. And I'm like, the fuck's wrong with you? I mean, it's like, and we're not talking about Rommel. We're talking about like, I think it was like somebody like Model or something like that. Somebody who's like really no, no, that's not cool. There were some people that were in the armed forces of Germany that weren't carrying evil people, but I don't think there was a lot of them. Okay, and they certainly weren't in the SS. And yeah, no, that's where I draw the line. That's why I don't, I'm not personally offended by people that wear like if they play Flames of War and they happen to be playing an SS unit and they wear an SS shirt that has like the logo of the Panzer Division. It doesn't even have to be a Panzer Division. I think it's bad taste. I wouldn't do it just because it sends the wrong message. I think it sends. I don't want to send that message. Let's put it that way. And I don't play Flames of War. But that's beside the point. But I'm not offended by people that wear that. But I just don't think it's in good taste. You know, if you're wearing something and you're thinking, I don't mind wearing this, but I hope I don't run into so and so because they're gonna think, then you probably shouldn't be wearing it. Like I don't mind wearing this, German Panzer Division shirt, but I hope I don't encounter some veteran from the Allied forces who's, fought that unit in real life, and they're going to give me a tongue lashing. That kind of stuff. If you're worried about stuff like that, then you probably don't need to be wearing it. That's your conscience telling you. Probably shouldn't be wearing that. Yeah, actually, it's somebody. I think it's on Facebook, and they have like pictures of like SS guys, and they're almost like praising them. Hold on one second. No, that was unexpected. Okay. What the hell was talking about? Da-da-da-da-da-da. I utterly hate gambling. Yep. It's stupid. I refuse to gamble, get pissed that gambling is infected the two sports I watch more and more each year. I don't watch sports. Should play war games. Cold War's 93 or 94 was a big uproar because someone was selling t-shirts with German units on them. The guy still sells them. They also had U.S. cavalry shirts. Some people complained over the German units. Yeah, there's a guy that always sells them. Doesn't bother me. There's one guy I made a big to-do. He was a very thin-skinned individual. Very typical of the type that are in this college town. Because it's not equal opportunity. You know, he's like, oh, he has a problem with the German shirts, but he probably wore a hammer and sickle. Sorry, they're the same side of two different coins. So I don't care, you know, if you're that stuff doesn't offend me. He doesn't have a shirt saying, you know, send people to the camps or something like that. But I mean, I wouldn't wear them, you know. People who complain like that need to be ignored. If they're not complaining about shirts, they'd be complaining about any number of things. Absolutely. And the last 5 years have proven that. You give people what they want more. It's never good enough. F them. Yep. All right, let's get some black paint and paint us some machine guns. Oh, that's the truck color. Yep. You need to give some people to complain about and don't budge. And that way they'll just complain about that. Social media maybe is so much easier now for these nut jobs to get their opinions out there. Honestly, not everyone on this planet needs their opinions heard. That's right. Man, you're almost quoting me. Not everybody deserves a voice. How could you say that? Well, some people are into doing dastardly things to us as a society. They shouldn't be heard. I'm sorry. You know? I mean, the internet is great, but it's also, you know, it could be abusive. Like, you know, all the child molesters can communicate with each other and get ideas where to, I'm sorry. It just messed up things like that, unfortunately, are possible. Yeah, give them nothing. Well, I normally wouldn't have that attitude, but I've seen it happen, you know, and I'm a quick learner. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this didn't have the intended consequences, you know. You know, back when I was a kid, if you said something preposterous, you'd get decked. You'd get taken out. And whether that's right or wrong or you disagree with it. But now you've got these keyboard commandos that can just... I mean, I'm very pleasant on the internet. Because if you're not, guess what? You have to defend your position. And I'm sorry, I'm not interested in passing the bar. Okay? That's just not... You know, arguing with people is just not my idea of a good time. You know, I have zero interest in doing that. Let's do some rusty things. Let's get the old orange. We already got black here. The color I like to use is this one down here. I had a guy that used to work for me. He was a crotchety old person many years ago. And I used to tell him, I said, hey, look, I'd like give him something to complain about. I said, may give you something easier. Now you don't have to find something to complain about. Make your life easy. Did I see the game you set up? Yes, I didn't get a chance to comment on it. It seems like a big one. Not my kind of game. I mean, I don't actually mind the counters. Counters and Napoleonics, I don't know. I've just never played a game that has counters like that. That's that ancient. Not really ancient, but that far back in time. It's just kind of different for me. The map looked nice though. You know, hex maps are just like things that are made of Legos. This is where Rick comes in when you talk about Legos. You don't really notice that it's Lego pieces until you look at it, and then that's all you can see. Kind of like maps with the hexes, and it happened in Squad Leader, right? When I used to play Squad Leader, you'd have these hex things, and the hex would go like, it follows along the hex. So of course you have this that's supposed to represent something straight or straightish, and it's going back and forth like this. It's just it's the same thing, You just once you see it, you can't unsee it. The only Napoleonic game that I really find intriguing, that I would like to try playing it, and I saw folks playing it at Historicon several years ago in Fredericksburg, and I saw them play it twice. And Fredericksburg, last time it was there, it was 2017, so it was probably 2016. And it was that the pub battles thing. I think that's what it's called. And it's like a real map, and the units, the Napoleonic units, are like little sticks, and it just looked freaking cool. And it made it sound like the sticks looked like shit. They don't. They're color coded, and they've got little markings of the units, and I could get into that. I don't know how the rules are, if they're like too vague and too generic, but on the surface it looks like pretty cool. I was skeptical first how the hex and counter games would play in the age of musketry. Once I got into the game, I was enjoying it, the back and forth combats. So in that game, for instance, do you have to be next to another unit to engage in musket fire? I would imagine so. You can't like shoot at a distance. Maybe artillery units, but like a regular infantry unit, can they attack another one at like a range of 2 or 3 hexes? I'm guessing not, but the one GMT game that I picked up, that I picked it up for $10 and didn't do anything for it with it like 3 or 4 years ago, and ended up selling it for 5 times what I paid for it. The Arquebus one, I really wanted to play it, but I just didn't want to learn it bad enough. It's going to take time away from spending time with my family or painting, or I just don't want to learn it bad enough. And I don't really want to learn it, and I don't want to teach somebody it. It's not that, like this Lion Rampant, okay? I don't want to play Lion Rampant without one of our other players who is really into it and also has a set of rules, and that way we can kind of learn it together. But to learn it on my own and then teach it to somebody, like, without them knowing the rule, it just doesn't interest me. I just doesn't interest me anymore, That's one of those DVA things that's just burned me out. It's burned me out to do shit like that. To try to figure out something on my own, and then get other people on board, and then everybody's asking the same questions. It's not compatible with my age / life experiences, and I've done it all before. So, in that game, rules: infantry and cavalry must contact the enemy to fire at them. Cavalry can shoot out to 3 hexes, but the further out the target, the less effective. Great Battles American Civil War games have the infantry and artillery can shoot out a number of hexes, but the further, the less effective the fire is. Which is the one that has the beautiful map from the Civil War one? That I'm fascinated by that map. You know which one it is. It looks like somebody drew it with like colored pencils. It's freaking beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. It could very well be the nicest map I've ever seen. That's stylized. That is a beautiful freaking map. Bitter Woods or something like that. I don't know. You know which one I'm talking about because I've mentioned it before. Flying Pig Games. The only game by Flying Pig Games that I've seen is that Armageddon War, and I came close to wanting to be interested in getting that. And I watched 2 or 3 playthroughs they had on YouTube and realized I didn't like the mechanics. They were just too predictable. They got a game. The guys have a game night on a Saturday. They put a game together, get together on a Saturday, which is normally good. And I'm like, what are you guys planning on playing? And they're like, okay, we're doing Flames of War. And I'm like, okay, well, I ain't gonna be there. So I'm not wasting everybody's time playing Flames of War. I'm not. I played it. I like it even less than Rapid Fire. I like it even less because it supposedly represents 1-to-1 scale. Yeah, no. I don't want to play Flames of War again. If you play it, that's cool. I'm sure you have your reasons why to play it, just like I have my reasons not to play it. I like their website. I probably would like their products if I was did 15s. I actually don't like that map. I found the colors bothered me for some reason. I really love the Operational Studies Group Library of Napoleonic Battles maps, which the game I have set up. You don't like the colored pencil one, huh? Well, I don't like it that it's American Civil War. Other than that, I think it's cool. I don't think all of a sudden one day I'm going to wake up and go, you know what, I think I'll start playing American Civil War. I'm pretty sure that's probably never going to happen to me. But, you know, I can't be into everything, so. I'm not in a hurry to go back to ancients or medievals. I'm enjoying this way too much. I've put this off way too long. You thought the map was too loud, if that makes sense. I know what that means. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same one. Maybe I need to look at it again. I just like how it looked like it was drawn by, you know what I mean? It was like drawn with like color pencils. The seat getting one every day closer to being senile. My wife thinks it's because I'm not getting enough sleep. Well, I got shit to do. Who the hell wants to sleep? That's a waste of time. Okay, we've got these saws to paint. We're going to do that afterwards. Same thing with this light. So let's pick out these details in this color. Now we can do that. You linked the game I think I'm talking about. All right, I got to take a look at it then. I just don't remember what it's called. Let's see. Let's open this up. We'll be on tomorrow night though with nobody else in the house, so we can have a crazy party. Might even have some scotch. Not that having people in the house would keep me from having it, but let's see what you sent me here. Flying Pig Games. If pigs could fly, a most fearful sacrifice. That sounds right. It's got a racist flag on the cover. Let me look at this. Show me the map. Okay, the colors on this do seem kind of loud. They do. Man, it's definitely done by crayon or maybe it's done on a computer just with a crayon effect. What do the units look like? Yeah. I'd play that kind of a game. I'd play it on computer. Old school tactical. 110 to holy smokes. So there's a board game that came out. I'm trying to remember what it's called. And it's a 1-to-1 scale man-of-war game. It's got me written all over it. But then, the hexes are too large. It's like you can only fit like a guy in each hex, but obviously the hex represents like a 20 by 20 room or larger. It's like, I don't remember what it's called. Old school tactical. It seems like there's so many games that freaking rip off ASL. Just to look. Here's another one. This one looks like ASL. Or Squad Leader. Yeah. I'd love to play those kind of games if they were on computer. That way I can just learn by clicking things, in other words, I don't mind reading the rules, but I want to experiment with playing the game so that I have a foothold so I can read the rules. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I learn. Pour you a glass. Yeah, come back tomorrow. We'll have one together. I also don't care for the counters of that game. They don't look good to me at all. Yeah. Maybe at second glance, I'm kind of leaning more off to your side. Do they make maybe another campaign? That maybe that's the one I saw. Yeah, you're right. That one looks kind of loud, and it also doesn't look like the one I was looking at. But I could have been wrong. It's not something I'm thinking about constantly. Just remember, it was definitely a unique looking. Definitely a unique looking game, board wise. There's one game that it was either a Napoleonic game or a Civil War game or something like that. It might have even been one of those decision games, kind of like those little small pocket games that come like in a little thing about this big, and some of them are solitaire. I think that's decision. And it had these units, and it had the name of the unit. I really need a piece of paper here. Let's see. And I liked how it looked. It was simple, but it was done elegantly. And you had like this counter. If I get this wrong, I got it wrong. You have this counter, and it would have some kind of writing or whatever. And then the unit was like this, almost like you were looking at it from above in formation. So maybe it had, somebody whose name was, say, Marsh, okay, and something or another. And it had kind of like, if it was Austrians, then this block would be white. It was something like that. It might have even been a Civil War game, and I liked it because it was kind of like, you could see how the units were formed if you looked at it at a distance. I don't know. It was simple, but it was done right, in my opinion. Sometimes you can make counters that are too complicated. Uh-oh, another game. All right, hold on a second here. Got your juices flowing. Let's see what we got here. The most fearful that sacrifice, that sounds like the right name, but Long Street Attacks. Gonna have to give those boys some buckets to catch all the lead. I think this was the map I was talking about. This Longstreet attacks. But yeah, it is kind of loud. It is kind of loud, yeah. I just like this kind of colored pencil looking. What do the counters in this one look like? Let's see. I think it was this one. Ooh, they got some Florida units. They got some Florida boys there. I like how they did the states. They got the state silhouettes. That's cool. Let's see what them Yankee units look like. Got the states on them too? Yep. Ooh, I like that. I mean, Mitch would be screwed because he doesn't know the names. He doesn't know the shapes of the states, but I do. Cool. Big fan of using NATO symbols on counters. NATO symbols don't bother me. I don't like what this trend is where they use NATO symbols for infantry, but yet the tanks, like if they're Panthers, they have a Panther on them. So now you're mixing both things. You know, I would rather just stick to one or the other, you know. They must be the same artist. Even though they're two different game companies, they must be the same artist that did both of those maps because they're certainly of a similar style. Well, I know we're not going to end up getting this done tonight because it's 9:30 and I'm fading-ish. But we should be able to get these done by tomorrow night. And I'm not necessarily in a hurry. That'll give me one more day to look at slogans. Because both of these are going to have slogans. Hand painted, of course. Wouldn't want it any other way. I got decals for them, but that's taking the fun out of it. And put a few discolorations in there, which after we do some weathering, dry brushing on top of it, it'll kind of blend it all together. This is kind of what I've been doing, and I think it works out okay. It gives them the look I want them to have. It finally rained here yesterday for a few hours. That's supposed to get thunderstorms tomorrow. They are KVs. Yep. They come with two hulls. and 4 turrets. 2 KV2s, 2 KV1s. So 2 of them are going to be, well, there's one each. These are the closed turret ones. The other ones will be open. So you got some awesome, and obviously it's just for aesthetic purposes, because most of the time at these ranges you're going to be buttoned up all the time. It'd be stupid to be unbuttoned. Clementi Vorishilov. Noble Knight to keep me out. Oh yeah, I'm all set. Remember I was talking about a month ago that I had primed a bunch of vehicles? Yeah, I haven't even delved into that. I got freaking German half tracks. I got all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I had plenty of stuff even without the Noble Knight thing. But I was going into my closet. I was just like having to move things out of the way that I'm never going to use, Even thought about selling my copy of Maneuver, but I don't think I will. I think I'm going to keep it. The skid on painting miniatures. I finished the ACW and started on the AWI. Kind of lost the mojo. Yeah, we'll pick it up again. It's not like you have to have them done by some convention or something. Get them done when they get done. And that's when they're going to get done, and they're not going to get done before. There you have it. When are they going to be done? They're going to be done when they're done. So we'll see how long it takes them to respond on the stuff that I have. Because I had every intention to buy some British tanks with it. I just ran out of funds. I mean, the Russian tank box that I got, the Russian truck box that I got is like freaking $40. And that's just for trucks. But I don't have any, I had no Soviet trucks. Oh, that's just unacceptable. Done and nothing left to paint. May finally just call it quits and do vignettes with larger figures. Whatever you want to do. I'm pretty sure I'll never do models just for model purposes again. Yeah, I've just gotten to the point that I just don't want to paint. I don't want to play things I don't want to play. You know. And there's other people in our group that are like that way. I don't want to play that. Okay. And I don't care if you don't play it. You don't play it. I don't force people to play things. There's stuff that they play that I probably wouldn't want to play. Step away from this and see if we can. Yeah, we want to make sure that stuff like the edge of this turret stands out. And it looks kind of equivalent to the T-34. Well, I am really tired. I'm not going to be able to finish do the same thing with the KV. I'm going to call it a night, but that's where we're going to pick up tomorrow. It is just way too. I haven't been getting much sleep lately, so. Anyhow, we'll be back on tomorrow. And you know what? I'm gonna close it up this time because I just put some of that paint down, but I'm having trouble staying awake. So stay awake no more. Anyways, thanks for stopping by, folks. Our KV project will finish up. We'll finish tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Until then, have a good evening.